Welcome, bros, to another episode of Bro.metoo. I am your host, of course, JC, and today we will be going deep about a topic, and that topic is fear. So we'll be going deeper into fear as far as like what it entails, where it has come about, what kind of fear there is, how we can overcome it, so on and so forth. And so, first of all, I want to mention by looking up the word fear, I've gotten so many different definitions of it. I am getting killed tonight by these mosquitoes. I've heard so many different definitions about fear, but one that was very consistent was it is a unpleasant feeling triggered by the perception of danger, whether if it's real or imagined. So when considering with that definition, it basically, in my eyes, helped me see that fear is not real. Yeah, we consistently would have this unpleasant feeling or this really harsh emotion by it whenever something is happening or whether we are about to endure something. So of course we have like those three main topics of what kind of fear there is, not talking the anxiety type fears or the different phobias or anything like that, but more of the social fears, and that mostly will become from the fear of the current, the fear of the past, or the fear of the future, or even the fear of the unknown. And that those four, I guess you can say it's four, different types of fears are the more social type fears that kind of haunt our lives. And so within that, of course, I guess you can definitely say that when we have those types of fears, those fears just really comes from a lack of belief. It comes from the lack of belief of understanding that what we are feeling right now is not irrational. And it may be rational in our heads in that moment, but in the grand scheme of things, is most likely irrational. For example, like I was also doing more research about fear and more common fears, the more common social fears even more, and the top fear that has consistently been at the top for the past few years has been the fear of public speaking. And then the second one right after that is the fear of death. And so when you put that in consideration, it's like we often fear being dead less than speaking at a funeral. In other words, of course, rearranging those words, we often fear speaking at that funeral than being the one in the casket. And so, if that's more literal, or even if you want to take that as more figuratively, essentially, it's still fear. Not saying that, sometimes fear can keep us safe. Having the fear of jumping off a cliff, that can keep us safe. But, of course, that same part of our brain where we do realize that something dangerous is about to happen to us, it still taps into us when we are fearing that public speaking, or we're fearing about going to first meet somebody, or shaking hands, or networking, communication, going through a business plan, the whole nine, me going through the podcast, all of the above. And I've realized personally that same part of my brain that I was fearing, whether if I went through a car accident that I went to a couple years ago, or if I am about to start this podcast, it hit the same, but probably even more when I was about to start the podcast, just because I knew that, honestly, I didn't even know. I didn't know what it would be like. I didn't know how I would feel, or if people would be receptive to it, the whole nine. So all of that is to say that those feelings are real, but the fear is very irrational. So those feelings are real. We can still, feel that we are about to go through something, or that we are feeling that emotionally inside of us. Yet, that does not mean we have to give in to the fear. Many times when we do give in to that fear, it stops us and it hinders us, and whether if that is with loneliness, or if that's with failure, rejection, or uncertainty, or change, and all of the above, all of that fear, it hinders us and it stops us from going on beyond to something that is maybe even greener pastures on the other side of it. And I also came across another really cool story online about it. And basically, it's about this criminal and this king, and of course, it's the criminal, and he's about to get punished for all the criminal deeds he's been doing. Man, excuse me, I'm getting bit. He's about to get, of course, he's about to get punished for all the criminal deeds he's been doing. But the king still gave him an option. He said, "Hey, you can either get hung by this rope, or you can go and see what's beyond that super dark, ugly, scary door that's over there." Right? And so, without a doubt, the criminal grabbed the rope. He was like, "Hey, bro, this is it. I'm just going to have to take this rope." And while they're putting the noose around his neck, the criminal was like, "Hey, man, so, by the way, what's behind that door? I mean, I'm not going to be able to tell nobody because, I'm finna die anyway." And the king just laughed. He was like, "You know what? Many people consistently choose this rope and not by that door. Just because they can see that the rope is here and they don't know what's behind that door. So what was really behind that door was freedom. And I could have let you walk out of here and lived a whole new life. Yet, your fear and your irrationality behind what was beyond there, what could have potentially be, you won't ever get to see it." So or people in general, anybody that gets to see this, to take the story into consideration, whenever you are about to go into something or endure something that you really have no idea was about to go on, why not choose that option? I mean, of course, you can definitely give me a response and saying, "I mean, I don't know. I don't see the option. I don't see what's there." We also have the ability to decide and to choose what could possibly be there. Although we have no idea 100% what is behind the deep, dark, ugly door, or what's even far yonder within our travel, within our trip, we have the opportunity to say, "Oh, hey, there's going to be some great things there." Because then not only that it's going to help us in our perspective about that, but it will also change the mindset and the actions and the motivation and the actual energy inside of us when we are about to go and do it. Because when you also think about it, like even within myself, when I played basketball back in the days, when I had no idea about why this drill will be able to help me. I'm a shooter. I'm a point guard. Why am I over here trying to do post moves or rebounding and stuff like that, right? Yet, and when I would go into those drills consistently, I'd be like, "This is not gonna help," or anything like that, and I would not put my all into it. And I could feel inside my body that I wasn't into it. And so, whenever it came down to it, whenever I did need to rebound or I was underneath the goal and stuff like that, then I realized that that was actually needed. And stuff, and those drills can be put into fruition. And even on the flip side of that, when I did other drills like ball handling, stuff like that, and I knew that I was going to need that because I played the 1 and the 2, I put my energy into that and I put my perspective, my focus, and it changed totally different. And so whenever I did that for something that I really wanted to do, what I could see and I could foresee the future, or even if I couldn't foresee the future, I had the perspective that it was going to benefit me in the long run, that the energy totally changed, the trajectory totally changed, the benefit totally changed, so that is a really cool thing about that. It's facing the fear. We often face the fear, and when facing that fear, it's a lot tougher than the fear itself. When even me, looking back on this podcast or having conversation with other people, when we all have this fear of doing something specific, and then it takes us a little while, and we kind of do that like double dutch jump, or I don't know how else to say that, double dutch jump, when we're about to jump into the jump ropes, right? And we're like, ooh, all right, yeah, next time. And then we finally jump into the ropes and we start jumping and going through it. We're like, I don't know why we took so long in the first place. I don't understand what made me not do it to begin with. And that's the craziest part to see is whenever we finally do get into what we're doing or go into it with the faith and the belief that we do have, man, I'm telling you, bro, it's like it's crazy. And then we start to laugh at ourselves and we start to think of it as like a really funny memory of ours, that it wasn't real to begin with, bro. Our fear wasn't really real to begin with. And um, so another part about that though is that I'm not saying that we shouldn't have fear. Of course, like when I was saying before, that does not mean we should not have emotions, because I am all for feeling our emotions and being in tune with our emotions, because it's very consistent and it's actually getting more widely spread as far as the communication value, that men are suppressing the emotions that we are feeling. So when it comes to this fear, and like I said, it is an emotional feeling. When we do feel this feeling, we can take it, and we should take it. And the value is still there to feel the emotion that we have there. Now, the difference between us falling into the fear and going past the fear is our decision to do what's next. We have a choice. Our choice, it ultimately lies with us. I mean, we could have other people that is around us, and even a really great support system that can speak into us and to say that we are great and we're doing great things. And or even on the flip side of that, we can have a non-support system, a really bad support system, and they can speak negatively about us and say that we're not going to be doing great things. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do that. They don't see the value in us. They don't see the value in what we're doing. Yet our choice ultimately does lie within us. Our choice ultimately lies within how we're going to respond and how we're going to still go and do the things that we really feel like in our heart that we should be doing. Yet the only thing is stopping us, the unreal fear that is there. That literally, that 4-letter word, and of course maybe some tied up emotion within that, is the only thing that is stopping us. That's building that 50-foot wall that's in front of us that we got to hop over. So let's break through it. I mean, let's go and get a bunch of hammers and or a power drill or some explosives, and let's break through it. You know, it's about time that we all are able to see the fear, see that there is an obstacle there, feel that emotion, get the explosive and break through it. And if not, I will hand you the explosives, or find other people that will hand you those explosives to break through that emotional wall that's there. And so, to add on to that, like, I have a favorite quote by Will Smith. He was on, I forgot what talk show he was on, but he had recently did some, he had recently skydived, which is actually one of my goals pretty soon, is I want to skydive. And he said that on that talk show, he was of course feeling that fear of emotion, that emotional fear. And that he really did not want to hop out that plane. But he is getting to a point in his life that he is really trying to go past all of those emotional barriers that he's been having. And so when he hopped out the plane, well, of course, he was strapped onto someone else. When they had pushed him eventually out of the plane, he started yelling at first for a good amount of time, but then eventually he stopped yelling. And he was just there and just mesmerized by the beauty that he got to see by falling out of the airplane, through all the different landscapes, the ocean, the other things that may be underneath him. And he just got to see literally a different perspective upon the world. And so ultimately he said, fear loses your ability to see the beauty. Fear ultimately loses our ability to see the beauty beyond what's behind our 50-foot wall that's standing in front of us. For me, fear ultimately made me not see the beauty behind doing a podcast like this. not only keeping myself accountable, but like also being relational enough to share with other people about maybe some things that I've been going through, or some things that I've gotten past or had conversations with other people, to help other people do the same thing. Bro, fear for you is making you lose the ability to see the beauty in yourself. Beauty, even I say this to women, little bro to bro advice. I say this to women. Women, they can be cute, they can be gorgeous or mesmerizing, or any other synonym to that. But beauty is different. Beauty comes with not only what's on the outside of them. It can be on the outside of them. That's cool, but it's more so comes from what's on the inside of them. What can they obtain? What can they do? How can they be a value of themselves and other people around them? That is beauty. And so whenever I say that we can see the beauty in ourselves, man, like it's not that we'll see the beauty on the exterior, that we'll look prettier or we'll look more handsome to the women around us. It's that we will be able to see the beauty within ourselves, to see what we can actually obtain. Like literally, fear is the person behind you holding your shirt while you're trying to run to your finish line. And that it's crazy that that's the only thing that can really become our limitations. And so, last thing I want to leave you with, of course, is a way to move forward. Of course, like I can't just talk about fear, or I can't talk about a topic and not help you move forward. So, from doing the research and then also on like myself, first off, within me, I have to first understand like what is really holding me back. And is it really an excuse, or is it something that is an actual barrier, or is it just myself? And if it's an actual barrier, then there ultimately, I feel there's a way that we can either get around it or we can get above it. If it is myself, I am the barrier. I have to either get around it or I got to get above it. And if it is an excuse, I just got to put that out of my face to be like all the way, because excuses. My girlfriend told me that like she's one of the people that kept it really real with me and was like, "Hey, bro, all you doing right now is telling me excuses. Cut it out." And so if all you doing is telling yourself excuses, bro, cut it out. The next thing, of course, is that you have to know that life is going to happen for you, but it's not going to happen to you. Like, that's the perspective you have to have. Because at the end of the day, like, that's what life is about. Life is not supposed to be a figment of emotional things that is happening around us and to me or to us, and all we are doing is sitting by the wayside and just letting things happen, being the effect to whatever causes that's going on. That's not what life is about. Life is about every single piece in the puzzle playing their piece in the puzzle. Going further deeper into that, I'm a piece into my puzzle as far as speaking into a podcast or doing whatever my purpose is. Your puzzle piece is your purpose. Your purpose is needed inside of this world, which is the full picture. So your puzzle piece is your purpose, and your purpose is needed for the full picture. Take that. And so I went to another mental health panel like some time ago. I want to say it was last semester, and there was this woman that was a mental health professional, and this one thing, it really stuck with me. And I'm gonna go try to find her Instagram and mention her. But anyway, what she said was really, really important. It's not just for men, but it's for women too. It's for anybody, honestly. And she said, what happened to you in your past was not your fault. Even if you in the past had let fear create your reality, it's not your fault. Many times because it's through the other either experiences or the other people that you have within your circle, and it's not your fault. Even if it was your fault, it's not your fault. Because what happens in the past is in the past now. Now, what your future is and what you're trying to do now, it's your responsibility. It's literally your responsibility to go and to put fear to the side and make fear underneath you. Because like if your responsibility is not taken into account to yourself to make fear a sideline guy or somebody that is on the side of the road, then that person will jump into your car, take over your car, and you'll be the one that will be sitting on the sideline. And that's something you can't have, especially if you have goals or if you have something that you really feel in your heart that is supposed to be your purpose or your feeling. Currently in this day and age, everybody's doing that they want to do. Why not you? Why not you? And so the next thing is to take the small steps. Even as small as to plugging up the camera and pressing the record button, that like I did. Like that's the smallest step that you can take, but it can make a really big difference. Another really big thing about me in my past is that I moved a lot, so I didn't really, and I was also very shy, so I didn't speak to many people. I didn't talk, but I was more that person that would lead by my actions. And so it wasn't until I got to college that I realized I need to have some type of conversational skills. And so I started super, super small. And that was literally just saying hi to everybody. Saying hi. Not even if it had a conversation that led after that. I just said hi. And then when I felt comfortable, I would start off with, how are you doing today? And then leave from there. And now I would just have random conversations with people. And people wouldn't even realize that literally about 4 or 5 years ago, I was that guy that didn't really speak to anybody. And so there's a guy named Darren Hardy. He also has a book called The Compound Effect. And inside that book, he basically goes into the nitty gritty of helping us understand that those small tasks, they play a big part into our future. And so his little formula was small tasks plus consistency plus the time equals your significant results. But here's the kicker. The flip side of that also plays a factor too. Because those small tasks, those bad habits, that plus the time, plus the consistency of those bad habits, that will also be significant too. And so, of course, it leads down to, again, making that choice for ourselves of which path we're trying to go through. Which fork in the road are we trying to go? We're trying to go into falling into the fear, bad habits, or we're trying to go towards the good ones and breaking through with those explosives. Let's do it together, man. So the last one, or the second to last one, is going back to the perspective side of it, and that's to see the failure into the new light. We're seeing rejection in new light. Like consistently, there are guys, like another good thing for the men in the room. If you are a guy that is trying to go and speak to a new woman that you never met before, but you're like, man, she's beautiful, she's really cute, really gorgeous. I want to have a conversation with her, just see what she's about. Then, bro, like, if you're scared, see that failure more so in a perspective that if I do fail, now I know how to go about it another time around with another woman. If I do fumble on my words, or if I do make a joke that, if you make a joke that is not socially correct in the atmosphere that you're in, now you know you're not supposed to make that joke in that perspective or in that room. So putting it into more social terms, or into like other terms as far as like your future and your goals, if you have something that you are afraid of failure, like for me, I'm afraid of failure, but I also had to view that my fear of failure was not only limiting me, but I had no idea if I was going to succeed or not. I mean, I still have no idea if I'm going to succeed or not. I don't even know if this is a part of my succession plan. Yet, my perspective now is changed to say that this is a step in the right path, regardless if it's going to be good or bad. It's a step in the right path. It's a step at all, like, period. It's a step, So, the last thing is ultimately we have to determine what our why is. Not only what our why is for what we're about to be doing, but also what our why is for our future and our goals and what we're going to be maintaining to our reputation and our value system and all the above. Because at the end of the day, our why is what's going to be motivating us, and our why is going to be the intrinsic value that is going to ultimately come to light whatever we're going to be doing. For example, if you're going to do a business of some sort, and if you have the whole business plan, if you're going to be doing like if you're going to be going into the stocks world, right? What's your why? Like, it doesn't matter what the why is. It doesn't matter if it's big or small. The only important factor that why has to have is that if it is important, or if it is to your value system. If it is important to you, or if it is to your value system. Because the why doesn't matter to other people. Also at the end of the day, what all people will see is they will see what's at the end result of everything. They won't see you and your sweat, your blood, your tears, your cries, your griminess, and all of that. Like, they won't see that. They won't see all the hard work, which is why it doesn't really matter if their why is important to them. It's important to you. So as men, our why is really important. It's important for us to basically jumpstart ourselves in whatever direction we're trying to go through, especially if we're going towards fear, breaking through that wall that I mentioned before. And to end things off, we can also think of fear as an acronym. We can either forget everything and run, or we could face everything and rise. And that's the choice that we have to make. And bro, I just recommend that we choose to face it, and so we can rise through it at the end of the day.